After 5 months, Oliver again braved the elevator.
After 5 months, Oliver again braved the elevator.
The plane crash resulted in the Federal Tort Claims Act of 1946.
The government offered money to family members of the victims 8 months after the accident occurred. While some families accepted, not everyone was willing to let the incident go. A lawsuit was initiated by some victims' family members that ultimately resulted in the passing of the Federal Tort Claims Act of 1946. This granted United States citizens the right to sue the federal government.
Oliver was working as an elevator operator when the crash occurred.
While not a well-known historical event, the 1945 B-25 crash in New York City dominated headlines at the time. New Yorkers were naturally terrified when Smith's plane collided with the Empire State Building. At the time, this was the tallest building in the world. At the time, Betty Lou Oliver was a 19-year-old elevator operator at the Empire State Building.
The elevator was completely dismantled in the crash.
Part of the reason Oliver's survival is so captivating is the severity of the accident. The elevator was completely destroyed in the crash. All the cables securing the elevator snapped just before it fell, causing it to free fall downward towards the basement. There was no way to stop the fall once it began.
Perfect conditions allowed Oliver to survive.
How did Betty Lou Oliver end up evading death after the subsequent 75-story fall? A number of conditions slowed and softened her fall. Had anything been even slightly different, Oliver likely would not have survived the impact. As the car fell, pressure built up in the elevator shaft. This provided some extra cushioning below the elevator. Several feet of secondary cables fell to the bottom of the elevator shaft, further softening the impact. There was also a hydraulic plunger in the sub-basement of the Empire State Building, meant to act as a shock absorber that ended up slowing the car down as it fell. This all resulted in the lighter impact that spared Oliver's life.
Oliver was thrown from her car in the initial collision.
During the initial accident, Oliver's elevator car was on the 80th floor of the building. The plane struck the 79th floor. This caused Oliver to be violently ejected from the elevator, but she got back in to take it to the ground floor in search of aid. That's when things took another morbid turn as the elevator car malfunctioned and began what would have been a death drop in any other situation.
It was a miracle Oliver survived the first accident.
It was a miracle Oliver survived the first accident, making her second miraculous survival even more amazing. She was badly burned when the plane collided with the building and was only a single floor away from where the impact occurred. 14 people in the Empire State Building died in the initial collision. If Oliver's elevator car had been just one floor lower, she likely would not have survived.
The pilot caused the crash by ignoring orders.
The crash could have been avoided had pilot William Smith followed commands. Prior to attempting to land at LaGuardia, Smith phoned the airport requesting clearance. Visibility was nearly zero due to the fog that day, so the LaGuardia worker advised Smith not to attempt to land. Rather than heeding this warning, Smith signed off after saying, "Thank you very much." Smith then attempted to land anyway. Without realizing it, he ended up flying over Manhattan. It was only when the clouds cleared that he realized he was flying in between skyscrapers. His decision to ignore orders would prove fatal, as he died in the subsequent crash.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.